أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول
Even before the September 11th, 2001 attacks on the World Trade Center, Muslims have fallen victim to extreme scrutiny within America and mass media. Not only have they faced threats and discrimination, but they are often stereotyped as terrorists. The media's ability to radically portray this group has resulted in negative sentiments towards Muslims in general.
As a Muslim, it pretty much influences everything I do, because Islam is not just a religion, but it's a way of life. So basically, throughout your entire day, your Islam, your connection with Allah, your being mindful of God is going to affect every interaction you have. And so you understand two things in Islam. One is that you have a life to live in this world, and you also have something coming in the hereafter. And so everything you do, everything you say, every action you commit, we know in our faith that it's being recorded. One time, I'm walking here in front of the mosque, and a guy drives by and he's gonna yell the terrorist word at me. Or one time I was driving a cab, and these guys are drinking, and they start calling me a terrorist or whatever it is. You're gonna encounter those things. I don't let them really get to me too much, because that's not the majority of my experience, honestly. That would be like me painting everybody and pulling with a broad stroke. But I understand on a personal level, those are the minority events. So they don't define my experience as a Muslim in my country. Jihad, first of all, it doesn't mean war. It means basically to struggle. And so in your life, you can have several different jihads going on at the same time. There could be a jihad against your own desires to want to go and do something that Islam teaches you not to do, right? You might want to go smoke a cigarette, and Islam's teaching you, don't do that. So you're going to struggle against that habit until you can quit. You might have a jihad to want to study instead of being on Facebook, right? That's my jihad. Everybody knows that. And I think the point that the media is missing and the mainstream is missing is that whatever actions that are the mistakes of any group or any walk of life exist amongst every walk of life. And they're not actually proportionally more for any group or any walk of life. But the way it's portrayed on the media is completely opposite. But we need to be more active as a community. We need to be more engaging with the media. We need to be more influential as far as being, in the proper places to try to represent ourselves, because all we do is get represented by everybody else, and we don't get to speak for ourselves very much. I do hear of a lot of sisters, Muslim women though, that do feel a lot of pressure wearing their headscarf and do get a lot of weird looks, and they do get a lot of weird treatment from the things I've heard from them personally. So I can speak on myself and then also explain a few other things that might happen for them.
Many believe all Muslim women are veiled not by choice, but due to the oppressive and dominant nature of men. However, this is not true. According to the Quran, Islamic women are considered to be spiritually equal to men. Heavy restrictions or oppressions towards women is typically rooted in cultural problems, not the religion itself.
I didn't wear the hijab at first because I was afraid and because it seemed like a really big step. And also because I had just started a new job at a law firm, and I thought, I don't know how they'll accept this. The thing is that, and I've read and I've heard this so many times, is that people should really ask Muslim women themselves what they think. Because I wear this, I choose to wear it. And the idea of oppression is really interesting because is it more liberating to actually show your entire body to like the public. Like, what if I choose, is it less liberating for me to choose to not show my body to the public? So I think that people tend to think of liberation as one way and not both, when actually the idea of choice is what's more liberating. I had 2 jobs, so I would go from job A to job B on the bus. This is in Boston. So I had like an hour and a half between jobs, and I had to figure out somewhere to pray because I didn't feel like I could ask my bosses. And so I ended up praying like outside in the woods. And then I finally, telling them was hard, and they were kind of like, oh, okay. I did like 3 years of research into it, and finally I decided to fast during one of the Ramadans because I felt like it was wrong not to, even though I hadn't decided yet because I was kind of afraid to be Muslim. And so I fasted an entire Ramadan not as a Muslim, which is really weird. And then I finally decided, this is what I believe, I can't not do it. I think people understand that the media over-dramatizes so much out there. If you look at the media, you would think, I've actually had friends tell me they're afraid to go to New York City because there's so many guns there. And I'm like, it's fine, just be careful. And I've had people come here from the Arab world. I used to work at the Morrow College with a summer program through the Department of State called Study of the United States Institute's Arab Journalism Project. And a lot of them had these conceptions of the U.S. that were, it's just like it is in the movies, there's a lot of violence, blah, blah. And I thought, welcome to Pullman. Like, no, look around you. So I think that if people understand that the media really over-dramatizes a lot, and if they look more into the larger patterns of media coverage, I think that should be a good starting place.
As with any religion, finding spirituality is a personal journey. For Washington State University student Saeed Talal, a pivotal event in his life has transformed and guided his way of thinking.
Something that happened to me, in my life, and I was oblivious to religion, to God. I wasn't an atheist. I was more of a Gnostic, I guess, and then my best friend, he killed himself, right, in my living room, and I was in the bathroom, and I come outside, and so one of my boys right there, and he was screaming, and this is the toughest kid I know, and I never heard him scream before, and I saw him screaming, and I was like, I didn't understand what happened. This was a normal kid, and the last thing that this kid said to one of my roommates is, "The devil's upstairs." I felt like God called me back, and it's like, it was a wake-up call for me. And that's the only way I felt protected.
When it came to religion, just like when I was in Kenya, we have every culture, they have their own way, the way they practice the religion, but we followed it the best we could. We practiced it perfectly. There was nothing at that time, but the change came when I came to America. Is that it's just the way they viewed it. The Muslim was different, and at that moment, 11-year-old kid, you're not gonna think of anything. So I didn't know because I was one of those people I just try to ignore things that are just gonna be too big. They'll assume, oh, these are Muslim and totally they violence. No, there's innocent Muslims out there all over the globe, and everyone is different. It's and the thing people misunderstand about religions is because of culture. Every single time someone asks me, I'll be like, it's a culture, right? Because every culture has their own belief.
The Muslim Student Association is a registered organization at WSU. Its focus is to spread awareness about Islam within the broader community. MSA recently hosted Islamic Awareness Week on campus. Each day of the week focus on a specific aspect of the Islamic culture. So
the Flower Carnival is just to get people's attention, to have the schedule, and also it has a quote by the Prophet ﷺ, how message, like the things that he said. On Tuesday, we did the try hijab on, and it was basically is trying to get audience, non-Muslim, like to see themselves, like if they wear the hijab, how they look like, and it turned out well. When people see a Muslim wearing hijab, they just assume like they're being oppressed or they're being forced to do it, but it's not. Some people, they're not forced to do it. It's for modesty, and that's how we do it. And for us Muslim men, we like the sisters. For us, it's like they're like a precious to us. They mean a lot to us. So seeing, for example, like one time I was watching a YouTube video. So they had a lady who didn't have hijab and one who wore the hijab. So the first one, the one who didn't wear hijab, was just walking, and then these guys, they come middle of nowhere. They just assume like women is just an object. They be like, "Oh, baby, what's up?" They go insane. They're like no respect. It's like disrespecting like the woman. They just feel like it's just an object it's just a person who can do whatever I want. But no, I'm like, that's someone's daughter. One of my favorite is this Culture Expo. The Culture Expo, what we did, we had different countries that had the different countries of Muslims that lives, and it was like the thing I like about is like the interaction. People like were moving around, learning about different these countries and the percentage of Muslim in that country. Like just to get an idea, like Muslims are all over the place, not just in the Middle East, because people assume right away, oh, Muslim, Middle East. No, like Muslims are all over the place, and that diversity of all the Muslims around the globe. And on Thursday we had the student panel. So the student panel, we had a group of students. They just took their life as a student living on campus, as a Muslim living in Pullman, like how their life is. And it was great because they talked about their experience and their life, how it changed from where they come from. Mostly the ones that we interviewed were all from different countries, so which was perfect because like they had their own view, like from that country and the view here in America. The purpose of the open house is at the mosque, so people could go and view the mosque, how it looks like, the interior and everything, and also to see how Muslims perform their prayers. And the thing I liked about that one is that some people like they get scared. They get scared to go in a mosque. They assume this Muslim goes there, and then at the same time, us being there as a MSA, going there, guiding them, it kind of shows that also like so they don't get disrespected by the community. So the purpose of the MSA is to give awareness to people, like to educate people about Islam, and mostly it's about that, and also as like community center for Muslim students. Because at the beginning, for me, at that time, like I knew Muslim students at WSU, but like I wasn't that connected. But being in MSA, I met so many people from different countries, so it's like for me, it's like second home.